Hey y'all, it's Erin. It's that time again. Fitness Q&A video. The first question comes from Nellie. She asks, clean eating and if it fits your macros. What are your thoughts? Well, Nellie, what are your goals? If you're looking to get as lean as possible, I would say clean eating is probably a better choice, because if you're going by just macros, I think you'll be able to lose weight, but you won't be able to get as lean as possible. Eating things like Pop-Tarts, cheeseburgers, just because it fits into your daily caloric intake is not necessarily what I would recommend. But again, if you're just looking to lose weight, limiting your caloric intake is a pretty good idea, and you can still, enjoy food if that's what you like to do. The next question comes from Allison. She asks, I'd love to learn how you peak week yourself. Do you go through the same protocol regardless, or do you go completely based off of how you look? Well, Allison, I change it from show to show, and it really depends on progress pictures. And this time you had mentioned that I was fuller at this last show, and one of the reasons for that is I put away the scale. And it's something that I've talked about in the past, and I've done it in the past, but I'll sneak over and I'll step on the scale, and the goal is to put more muscle on. More muscle weighs more. But I was getting on the scale, a week or two before the show, and I was weighing more than I thought I should in my head, so I would, up my cardio, and I would reduce calories at that point, and I think that's why I would come in flat. So, I've also increased my dietary fats and then done a little bit less cardio. So I'm trying to take better care of myself and not just be focused on, a willowy, wispy, hair on a stick is what I call it. So it's important, I think, to go by basically what you look like, rather than, the number on the scale. Also measurements, if you can take calipers, your body fat, that really helps too. So as far as the peak week itself, I do follow the same basic protocol for foods. So about a week out, I'll cut my carbohydrates down. And I don't typically go low carb throughout the year at all, except for, the depletion mode. So I cut my carbohydrates and I keep my salts, just where they are. I keep my water intake where it is. And about 48 hours before I step on stage, I'll cut my salt, continue to drink water, and add carbohydrates. And just, kind of switching things off, and that imbalance tends to, you've depleted the glycogen stores, so your muscles tend to fill up, and you cut the salt, so you tend to flush water, especially if you keep drinking water. So, that's basically what I follow, and it's worked for me, but, there are hundreds of different ways to do it. The next question comes from Rebecca. She asks, muscle imbalance. I'm having a hard time getting my right leg to play along. Well, Rebecca, two things that really helped me straighten out some imbalances that I had from track and field days. Those are unilateral exercises and really developing that mind muscle control. So if it's your right leg that's lagging a little bit, work on slow, controlled motions, increase time under tension, and start with your quads. Start with something you can see. Watch the muscle work and do your unilateral exercises starting with your weaker leg. So if it's a leg extension, start with the right leg, and if you can only do 7 reps on the right side, do 7 reps on the left side. And slowly but surely it will even out, but it's going to take a conscious effort on your part. The next question comes from Robert. He asks, I currently weigh 335 pounds. At my heaviest, I was 398, so I'm doing really good, but I have a new long-term goal. I want to turn myself into a fitness model and competitor. What advice would you have, specifically the time frame involved from where I am currently? Well, Robert, first off, I want to say congratulations. That is awesome. You are definitely an inspiration. Next, I would say talk to your doctor and see how much weight you can healthily lose in a year. and plan that on a long-term basis. So your long-term goal is to step on stage and of course be at, a healthy maintenance weight. But, perhaps it's around 100 pounds a year that you can lose, still maintain muscle, and do it the right way where it's lifestyle change. And then once you have that long-term goal and your time frame, set short-term goals. Set things that are realistic, they're attainable, and, monthly goals to keep you on track. Say it's losing an inch here or there, and set up non-food rewards. So, say you reach your goal at the end of that month, go get a massage, take a little trip, buy a new pair of shoes, and I would say also, join some type of network or have a buddy system where somebody can hold you accountable, where you can check in with them, and you can stay on track, and just know that we all have setbacks, but just keep pushing. And if it's your long-term goal to get on stage, where point B is, you're at point A, set a route and do it. I have faith in you. The next question comes from Brian. He asks, I'm curious about your track workouts. Please include that so I can get an idea of how I can incorporate it into my CrossFit workouts. Thanks. Well, Brian, if you're doing CrossFit, I know that tends to be a total body workout, so it depends on how many times per week you're doing that. But for me, when I run sprints or if I do anything high intensity, it's usually twice a week. And what I'll do is I'll start with a dynamic warm-up. So it'll be dynamic stretches, leg swings, things like that, get the blood pumping. And then I'll do some accelerations, and then I go into my workout. And what I'll do is 1 day of speed and 1 day of sprint endurance. So your speed will be like 8 50-meter sprints all out. And sprint endurance will be, say, 6 200 meters. A little bit slower pace, obviously, than the 50s. But you're going to want to take kind of a full recovery in between sets. So between 2 and 5 minutes, you want your heart rate to come back down. And then when you're sprinting, you want it at about 80% of max. And other things to do, just make sure you start slowly with the sprints. Make sure you have a nice, level, flat place to run, a Mondo rubberized track. Don't try to sprint on the pavement. That's really bad for you. But you want, 15 minutes warm up, 15 to 20 minutes high intensity, and then you're done. Cool down, and then do your static stretching afterwards. And once or twice a week should be great. And the last question comes from Abby. She asks, Prancercise 101. I don't know. No, that Prancercise. I know it's a fad, but I tend to dabble a little bit. You want to get a nice cardigan, and you want to get ankle weights, wrist weights, and you want to kind of just start slow, and you can start at home. You can do it anywhere. Get some music playing. I don't have that, but I got the weights, got the cardigan, ready to go. Thanks for the questions. Until next week, train hard.